Once you feel sure that you want to take your photography to the next level, it's time to invest in some equipment. From my own experience, I have found that having the right equipment is just as important as owning a good camera. During my years of photography, I have used different types of equipment, and I'm going to tell you what I think are the best ones for a cheap price. Before I start, I just want to tell you that these are only recommendations that I personally think are the best ones. If you have any equipment that you recommend instead, then tell me in the comment section below. Let's begin! I will assume that you already own your own camera and lens, so I will talk about the other types of equipment. Let's say you're going on a basic day trip and want to take photos. My first recommendation is pretty essential, which is the tripod. If you have a tripod, you will have access to many types of photography, which requires one. This could be, for example, long shutter photography where you need your camera to be steady. You don't even need to buy an expensive tripod to do the job. Of course, the more you pay, the more you get. But I have used this pretty cheap tripod since I started about 8 years ago, and it has done the job perfectly well. Next up is the lens cleaning kit. Usually the kit comes with a cloth, brush and pen. The cloth is surely useful, but you can do the job of cleaning your lens with just your pen and brush. Another thing which I find useful is this air blower, which quickly removes dust where it's hard to clean otherwise. Next up is a flashlight. When it's dark, it can be hard to see where you're going or the buttons on the camera. So obviously, the flashlight will help. But the flashlight is also good in case you want to cast light upon your motive, without that harsh built-in camera flash. Then we have the remote controller. You don't need an expensive one to begin with either. This will reduce vibrations caused by touching the camera and will make it easier to take photos where you need to be holding the trigger for a long time. Be sure to get one that has a button lock so you don't need to hold the button during the whole time. When it comes to filters, you have a range of different ones to choose from. First and foremost, you will need UV filters. The filter itself doesn't do much to your photo, but what I find it mostly useful for is to protect the lens. Let's say you're taking a photo of a race and some gravel hits your lens. The glass of a lens is usually coated and delicate, so it's vulnerable and can easily break. But if you have the UV filter equipped, the gravel will hit it first and your lens will have a better chance to stay intact. Then we have two optional filters. You don't need to buy them, but they can be good to have. The first one is a circular polarization filter, which removes reflections in, for example, water or windows, and it darkens the photo slightly. So you can also see it as a light version of an ND filter, which is the next filter I will talk about. The ND filter darkens the photo, and you can find it in different variations of shades, which is useful, for example, if you want to take photos in bright light with wide aperture. My next recommendation is a lens hood. This also serves as protection to some degree. Even though its main purpose is to remove flares and glare, I find it most useful to protect the lens from rain, fog or snow. Sometimes when it's raining outside, you will have great scenery. If your lens is covered in rain, you will ruin the opportunity and might damage the lens at the same time. And that's why I like the lens hood. Then we have an extra battery and memory card. They can be a lifesaver sometimes. If you own a multi-tool or pocket knife with extra tools on it, I would go with that too. It is a great all-around tool for photography. It's good, for example, for tightening the screw of a tripod quick release plate, picking up something you don't want to touch, or whatever problem you might encounter. So, where do we put all these things? In a backpack, of course. You can use your regular backpack, but I would recommend to buy one made for photography. These are a bit more expensive, but they are very handy and have different compartments and pockets that are easy to access, instead of having to stick your hand in there and hope for the best. If I had to do a top 3 list, I would say that the tripod, backpack and remote are the most useful ones. If you liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and please tell me about your best equipment in the comments. Goodbye!